Hi Pauline, thanks for joining me today. We've been working through a little series introducing some of the people that worship with us at Oasis, some of our church family, and you kindly volunteered yourself to come and chat to me a little bit about your faith journey. So to start off, could you just introduce yourself, maybe tell us a little bit about your family, anything that you enjoy doing in your spare time, that kind of thing?
Okay, so my name's Pauline Taylor, I'm 57, I'm married to Paul for 33 years. I've got two children. I've got Liz, who's 26, who lives in Swansea, and I've got James, who's 29, who lives in Salford. Spent most of my working life in retail, about 25 years plus for Asda and the Co-op. And then the last 18 years I've been in education as a learning mentor, stroke child protection officer, stroke minibus driver, anything that sort of comes my way really.
A woman with many hats.
Many hats, yes. My spare time, which I don't normally have a lot, I like to read, I like to watch films. I'm a big cat lady, big into my animals. I love walking. We walk most weekends with a walking group. I go swimming and I do Zumba, so I try and keep active and healthy, hopefully. So that's what I spend most of my spare time on.
Oh, fantastic. So the reason that I asked you if you'd mind doing this little interview is that you started to share a little bit about your testimony with me a couple of days ago, a little bit about how you first kind of became a Christian. So I just wondered, if you could just tell me a little bit about that.
Okay, I was born and bred a Catholic. Dad was Catholic, Mum was Protestant, Mum was English, Dad was Irish, so we had the whole thing going on there. At the age of 7, they decided to take me out of my school and put me in Catholic school to learn my religion. And I think that's where it really started to go a bit wrong. Everything we were sort of focused on there was, if you didn't do as you were told, God would have vengeance. I spent a lot of time reciting and writing out the Bible about, all that sort of thing. And I started to rebel, to be honest. On one hand, you're being told you can pray to God anywhere. The next, you'd be told you've got to go to church on Sunday, and if you weren't there, why weren't you there? And that didn't really sit with me very well. So I sort of left school, started work and put that to one side. And then about 1998, I was very involved with school, where we got a Christian head teacher. And my kids got invited to go to the tent at Northwood Infant School, which was run by Henry England Church. And it was great. Me and my friends took the kids, they had a great time. I can't help myself, I get involved, ended up serving the drinks for the kids and helping out. Went to the service on the Sunday to celebrate what the children had done, only to find myself with walking in with like a big arrow pointed at me through the sermon in my head, going, you've got a God-shaped hole in your heart, you're filling it with all this stuff, what's going on? And it just sort of escalated from there, really. I started asking questions and getting involved in stuff and going to their church, and I ended up being a young leader there and helping out and being baptised and being made a born-again Christian in 2000. And it just went from there, really. And then through various changes in the church, we lost our pastors, they moved on, and I didn't sort of settle. So then I started moving around and tried Birch's Head, and it was too big. Tried Swan Bank, and that was okay. But it was, it wasn't sort of settled. And ended up through Amy, through school, knowing about Oasis. I moved to Marcoff and ended up at Oasis and been there ever since, really.
Oh, cool.
And love it, absolutely love it.
Oh, cool. So I just wanted to ask you, just mentioned there a phrase that really stood out for me was you said you'd gone to this sermon, you were in this tent with the kids' work, and the phrase is that you've got a God-shaped hole in your heart that you're trying to fill with all these different things. I just wondered if you're comfortable doing so, whether you wanted to share anything about that. It seems like it really resonated with you, and I just wonder whether there's something in that, perhaps.
I've always been a workaholic, so work has been very, very focused. I've put work before my family. I've learned now, but that's what I did at the time. So I was working at night. I was working nights, and I was coming home, getting up and taking the kids to school. I was going in and helping out at school. I was running the PTFA. I became a governor on the school board of governors. I was also running Beavers in the evening as well, so I was involved in that. I was just doing lots and lots of things, thinking this is what I should be doing, and having no real time for myself or for my family really, other than doing that, you know. So it's like I couldn't say no. Anybody said, "Will you do this?" and it was like, okay, and I'd make time for it. So really, it didn't give me any time to think about what I was doing or where my life was going.
Yeah.
So that's really what it was.
Cool. So one of the other questions that I just jotted down for us to have a bit of a chat about, throughout like the New Testament, Jesus makes all these different claims about who he is, and over the centuries, various people have made different claims about who Jesus is. But I'd be really interested to hear who Jesus is to you, and what it means that you're able to have a relationship with him today.
I really have to think about this question. It's a really difficult question. Jesus to me really is life, because if I look at my life before I became a Christian, I actually wasn't alive. I was just going through the motions. And look at my life now, and I do feel alive. So Jesus is life to me. He is the life and blood, you know, of life itself, really. You know, he's my friend. He sits on my shoulder. He's my conscience. You know, he lets me know if he's not happy with what I'm doing, and he lets me know if things are okay. You know, life before and life now is two totally different things.
That's really, it's really cool to hear how it kind of fits in with that idea of being born again. And like, just for anybody who's potentially watching this, that phrase could be like so confusing, but I think for me at least, I think it really emphasizes that whole thing that, as you say, Jesus brings new life. And that as we can like buy into that spiritual life that we have through Jesus, that's where it comes from for me. I don't know if that's something you'd agree with.
Yeah, I would, yeah.
Cool. And then I was just wondering whether you have a favourite Bible character or a passage of scripture. Maybe it's something that's spoken to you quite recently, or something that you've carried with you for like a couple of years, and just getting the Bible out. This is great.
I think, like I said to you before, the bit that gets me really is the bit I find a bit of a struggle, and I really had to learn and work at. And that was Proverbs 3, 5 to 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all ways acknowledge him, he will make your path straight. I'm a very independent person. I've had to be in my life. You know, I've always looked after myself. Nobody else has done it. And it's a very hard thing to unlearn. And I still fail at it now, that, you know, going straight to God and not trying to do everything myself. You know, I have to let him kick me up the bum sometimes, and let, you know, get on, let him bring me down, well, get to my knees myself before I realise sometimes I need to ask God about something. I still have to work at that.
Yeah. I think that's one of the wonderful things about kind of doing church together as well. That sometimes other people can be a little bit more perceptive, perhaps in places where we need to just invite God into a situation. I know that it's a real struggle for me as well to relinquish that control. But yeah, thanks so much for sharing that.
Okay.
I always love having a little look at Proverbs. There's so much wisdom in that book. Great. And then, is there anything that you found particularly challenging or difficult in lockdown?
I think the biggest thing for me is because my job is talking and listening, and problem solving for people. You know, I'm a doer, and I really struggle with that. That I couldn't spend time with my family. I couldn't spend time with my friends. Not going to church, and my mental health has been a real challenge. So I really found that really a struggle in lockdown. But I found it really good, because the one good thing that did come out of lockdown is me and my kids they've taught me about FaceTime and things like that, and they started that engagement more so than me, so we've been doing a lot of that. And then I think being able to do Bible study on a Wednesday, it was something I'd never been able to do, and I loved it. I really got into Bible study and opening the Bible, and it was something I looked forward to on a Wednesday.
Oh, that's awesome. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that group then? Because you've been coming along like throughout lockdown. I've joined you quite recently, so yeah, just tell us a bit about like kind
They're
of things that
amazing.
a
Yeah.
normal session, what that would look like, who gets involved, that kind of thing.
It's really good because even though I've been going to church for a few years, I got to know the people who do Bible study a lot more, and it gave me an insight into the Bible that I've never really had before. You know, it made me think in a different way. So, and it was quite contagious, to be honest. You know, on a Wednesday, it's like, oh, 12 o'clock. I was almost gutted when I had to go back to work and I couldn't take part in it, you know. And it was great. And it was lovely to join, you know, meet you.
Yeah, I think there's something really interesting about that kind of sense of community. And you mentioned like how your children have helped you to kind of get to grips with FaceTime and Zoom and all of this kind of thing. Um, and it's made me wonder whether you have any thoughts about sort of what's church been like, doing things kind of digitally. Is that something that like you found has been quite helpful or like maybe a bit challenging? What are
Yeah,
your thoughts around that?
although I actually miss the building and going to the town hall, it's been great because I've been able to get more. You know, it's not having to make that journey. I know sometimes we can get a bit lazy, but it's been great to sit in the home and go on it. I've been able to attend the evening bit a lot more, which I've really enjoyed, the worship side, especially like with winter coming, because travelling to the church at night time down the lanes and things like that was always a bit dubious, you know, and making that effort. But it isn't making an effort now. I just do it automatically. You know, I do miss the building, I do miss the people, but I have got an awful lot out of it as well.
Yeah, do you want to just tell me a little bit about the 8 o'clock service, which is the evening service, just for anybody that doesn't know what we're doing with that, how we gather and kind of what kind of things we do on that evening service?
Yeah, we're doing it by Zoom, and we can meet up from 7:30 onwards to have a chat and catch up with people, which is nice. You get that face-to-face contact, you know, that you can talk to people and have a discussion and enjoy, just same as you would do at church, really. And that hour goes so quickly. You know, I've ended up buying a lot more Christian music because I've been listening to the music on there that have been there, and I've researched it, and I've ended up buying the DVDs, and I've got them at home to listen to. So yeah, I found it really engaging, and some of the speakers that we've had have been great. Your particular uh, preaching that particular time you were on was great because it was so apt for me at that time. It
Thanks
really
very
was.
much.
I actually texted Amy and I said, "Wow, that was speaking to me so much," and it reminded me to actually, you know, my mental health was not in a good place, and to go out and speak to people about it, you know, because I just found that that particular time, I just felt as though I was just drowning in sadness, you know. So it was good. It was very apt for me at that time, and I find that as well. That some of the speakers really have spoken to me, you know.
Oh, fantastic. One of the other questions that I've got is more about Oasis as a church, and kind of what do you enjoy most about worshipping specifically at Oasis? You mentioned going to a couple of different churches when you were looking for somewhere to kind of have as your spiritual home. So what was it about Oasis that kind of you decided to put down roots here and really get stuck in to the church community?
To be honest, as soon as I walked into Oasis, it just felt home. You know, it was lovely. The people were so welcoming. I knew nobody other than Amy. I didn't know anybody at all. Um, and they were just encouraging, supportive. They got such a heart for people. It was amazing. Um, like I said, it was like it was contagious. The more I went, the more I wanted. You know, and the kids, and I've been on a couple of church holidays. The kids are just fabulous. They just soak everything up, you know. And I started teaching Sunday school and doing that and getting to know the kids really well, and I got an awful lot back from them, even the littlies right the way up, you know. And the church holidays, I got to know more people and got more involved with stuff, and it was just lovely. It was just the most amazing atmosphere, and it doesn't matter whether it's at the chapel or it's at the town hall, you know. Um, I've got a heart for the young people, but I've also got a heart for the older people. I lost my dad last year, and I could share that with the older people. a lot of them had been in the same situation with me, with my dad having Alzheimer's and dementia. So, you know, we could bounce things back off one another. And going to some of the prayer meetings was just lovely. I just found it home. It just felt right.
Oh, that's fantastic to hear. So it's like a real sense of kind of community for you.
I found somewhere I belong.
Oh, that's amazing. That's really great to hear. So I'm just going to kind of like wrap us up by just asking, what's your biggest prayer for our community and our world at the moment? We're facing this time that's just so, everything feels just a little bit chaotic, and there's just so many different challenges and like tensions between different people. So I just wondered whether there's anything that you're praying for at the moment, or anything that you're reflecting on that you'd just like to share briefly with us.
I think everybody is praying for a cure or a vaccination or something for COVID. I think we're all longing for normality, whatever that is anymore. I think the leaders of our countries, you know, praying about them, that they get it right for us, because we're relying on them. You know, we're under their jurisdiction. We've got to place trust in them. I'm praying for people that are living in homes where they can't see families, because I know that would hurt me. That I was there last year with that. I pray for the young people, because you know this world must be such a frightening place for them. I'm praying for my friends and my colleagues at work, because obviously I work in a school where we've got 1,000 children and 200, 300 staff. Praying for the leaders of our churches, that you know we can accommodate everybody and get it right, which I'm sure is what everybody is really.
We often talk about how we find hope through faith and through Jesus, and I just wondered whether there was anything that like that being a Christian like specifically has helped with in lockdown, whether there's any kind of elements of that that have really been a source of strength and encouragement for you, that perhaps you'd like to share with people that are maybe feeling quite similarly sort of overwhelmed and a little bit just anxious about how all this is going to work out.
Like you say, faith, I think you've just got to put your faith into God. You know, He's helped me through lockdown. I've prayed about things, He's delivered. When the children were out of work, you know, I prayed about that, and they've gone on to get different jobs. They're still safe. I think just, you know, He's answered my prayers. I think to put yourself in His hands, really. Like I said, which is something I find a bit difficult, because I feel that I can do it myself, but no. And I think join the prayer groups and join at church on Sunday and share what you want, share what you need.
Mm-hmm.
You know, give it over to Him. That is the answer.
That's fantastic. It ties in so nicely with that passage that you shared as well from Proverbs, that trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. Like, that's just fantastic. So yeah, thank you so much for joining me today and for sharing a little bit of your story with some of our wider church family and maybe some people in the local community. And yeah, just have a lovely rest of the week.
We'll do, back to work tomorrow.